think the interesting thing, I won't use the word sexy to talk about you. Not that you might not be, but not really my style.
Who do you think's sexier, Felipe or him?
Yeah, it's a tough
Just
choice.
rip it off like a Band-Aid.
It's a tough choice, but what's going on, Sarasota? My name is Brad Hannon.
Trey Martel.
Felipe Colon.
And you're coming to us not live, but live in the new studio with my man, Zach Lesmerises from AC Heroes. What's up, Zach?
What's going on, Brad? How are you?
I'm excited, man. I'm happy to have you on. You're our first guest here in the new studio.
Dude, I love the digs, man. It's awesome.
Sweet, right? We you don't see it on the camera, but we had a giant picture of Zach on the screen. He wanted us to take it off. I think he looked great.
Why don't we throw it back up just for a second?
Yeah, why don't we just throw it back up just for a second?
What the other option was.
Hey, look at what this studio can do. Watch. Oh, wait, we should probably work it out. There you go. So there's Zach.
Be available for hours later.
Similar outfit.
Love it. But Zach, we want to jump right into AC Heroes. We'll get into the background and stuff, as we go. But, what I've seen from the outside looking in, I don't know your business operations, but we're going to get to know them. But from the outside looking in, you've grown it pretty quickly. But more importantly than the growth, you've really focused on quality, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us about kind of the inception of AC Heroes.
So basically, I worked my way up. Started down, running.
Started from the bottom. Now you're here.
Yep, pretty much. Went through all the right parameters to get licensed and whatnot. What I see a need in the industry is basically the lack of integrity in the home service. Customers are on guard when you get a knock on the door. They don't want to be oversold. So
yeah.
I saw that as a big problem, and I want each and every person that I come across and my company comes across, the customer doesn't have to have that guard up. They don't have to worry about being sold everything off the truck. Mm-hmm. So that's really what I've prided myself on, and trying to stem more of the quality, not the quantity.
Yeah.
I'm here for the long run. I don't want to build this thing like a weed. I want it to be like an oak tree.
Yeah.
So
I want to highlight something you said, which I think is really great, that you pointed out. The fact that the integrity, it's a little bit different when you're working on someone's AC or anything in the home, because you're in their space, right? It's not like you're at a used car lot where you can just walk away if you're not being treated properly. Someone's coming into your home, you're letting them in, and you're trusting that they know what they're doing and they're going to treat you honestly. Exactly. So it's a bit different than other sales and service relationships.
Yeah,
exactly.
One thing that I found interesting, I had to bring this up right away because I'm on Facebook the other day, and I was going to tag you on a post, right? There was somebody posted about AC unit that needed serviced, and somebody tagged you. Actually, multiple people tagged you, and you said, thank you, but I only service air conditioners that I install.
Yeah, that's in regards to mini splits.
Okay.
And the reason being for that is that the technology hasn't caught up to the quality where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And mini splits are like window shakers these days. You can buy them from Home Depot in a kit, and you got handyman putting them in. And I just found very early on, I found out that if they're not put in right, they're not going to last right. And I can't consciously tell a customer that they're going to have to pay me more than what they spend on the unit just to fix the one that they've got.
So it's just with mini splits.
The mini splits.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and for the central ACs, we take care of all the major brands and stuff like that.
So are you more service or install?
It's actually a mixture of a little bit of everything. I do new construction on custom homes. We've got about 6 different projects right now that we're kind of juggling. Installs are real heavy in the summertime, obviously when you have breakages and whatnot. And then service is basically the the bread and butter, so to speak, and the baseline for us getting out there in the time of need. So yeah. It's a pretty even. I got a pretty even layer on everything.
Now, new construction, you said you did custom homes. Do you do track building at all?
No.
So you want to stick with the custom home, the margins are there, I assume?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, margins get real tight on track homes. And then again, there's a lot of go backs and stuff when you're talking about inspections and quality control. When you start biting off into that big piece of the pie, it gets real tight real quick.
Yeah. We traditionally did no new construction, but we're dabbling with custom homes now, and that seems to be the sweet spot as far as working with GCs and builders. Some of the GCs and builders you work with, you want to name some of them?
Yeah, so I work with Burlett Construction, Michael Burlett. He's about our age, very young, very hungry. Also, La Maison Homes, they've been around for years. Dabbling with O'Connor Construction, stuff like that. Just a lot of the local names that you come across. And then I'm also doing work for homeowners that are acting as their own contractor.
Okay.
So, and that's really kind of cool because you get to watch them see their dreams come alive, as well as you go right to them for the decision making. It's not like you have to jump through all these hoops. What kind of valance do you want here, or where do you want the vent, or anything like that. So it's kind of cool how we were able to do that.
Yeah, speaking of new homes, Morgan and I are actually building a new home pretty soon, so I'll
Excellent.
give you a holler. It's gonna be
Who's doing your AC?
I don't have one yet.
There you go. He's bought off everyone else on the podcast. So there
always
you go.
buy from the guests.
Always buy from the guests. Listen, we could talk about AC, but I think we might lose some people, right? And we could talk about
it's not sexy.
Your life story from birth to now, but we might lose some people.
That's
right?
Still not sexy.
I think that the interesting thing. I won't use the word sexy to talk about you. Not that you might not be, but not really my style.
Who do you think's sexier, Felipe or him?
Yeah, it's a tough
Just
choice.
rip it off like a Band-Aid.
It's a tough choice. But what I thought we'd dive into real quick is what I've noticed again from the outside looking in, and that's kind of your personal growth and development journey, right? Like a lot of home service type business owners, they're not really investing in themselves. They're not going to conferences. They're not going to Grant Cardone workshops. They're not getting the information that they need to really grow their business and be successful. They learn a trade and they're a tradesman, right? But they never really learn how to become a business operator. So what? And Trey, I'm really talking about him. If you can't tell, he turned down an invite to a conference that I'm going to that he would really would have benefited from, but. That's okay.
What Brad's trying to say is, why don't you tell us about some of the continued education and conferences you go to
that's setting you apart,
and how that helps you run your business better and service your customers better.
So I have a pretty big common networking background, especially here in the local market, and I used some of that going to my first RiseCon conference, and that was last year with Vic Tipness. I actually had so much work at the time because it was in like June that I didn't want to go because it was 3 days I had to give up in the middle of summertime, which is our busy time. And I went, and I'm glad that I did because I met a lot of good people, especially here in our local market, and they're influencers, but they're also, everyday people. And they're the everyday people like, you want the customers that are not going to give you a big headache, that, go there, do the job, stroke the check. Those type of customers. So, even bumping elbows. I got 2 or 3 jobs out of that RiseCon conference just by bumping elbows with people.
And that guy, Vic Pines, is he based out of Orlando? Is that?
Tampa.
Tampa, yeah. Yep. So he's a local guy. Okay, I see the value there. Now, talk to me, before we aired, you were talking about Grant Cardone and Vic Pines, which are more of general, business guys. Why do you choose those conferences versus the industry specific?
So I do a little bit of everything. And honestly, I didn't really get into the development stuff. My cousin Jordan got me into it, and we went to the Grant Cardone thing, which is good and educational. Learn how to hire the right employees and stuff like that. And I'm going to go back to what you told me when I texted you from the RiseCon conference, and I said, "Hey, are you going to?" I didn't know if you were going to be there because I knew you were doing that kind of stuff. And you're like, "Hey, man, those are great things, but just take a little bit from each one and allow that to form your own baseline." And that's exactly what I've done. You're not going to get a whole lot of, sugar puff, fancy stuff from every single one of them. But if you take a little bit from one person, a little bit of the other, you can kind of get your own footprint.
Well, and that's the biggest difference is a lot of people go to all these conferences, they never implement anything, right? So they get hyped up, which is like a shot of adrenaline. They go back to work. They may see an increase in productivity and things like that, and then it dwindles off, and they got to get another little insulin spike with the next conference. And so in the insurance industry and some of the conferences that I was going to and speaking at, you see the same people all the time. And it's like, are you really learning anything new? Are you really implementing, or are you just here because it's a great place to meet up with, you know, your colleagues and party for a weekend?
Exactly.
Right? So tell us about one thing that you implemented from that conference and what it's done to your business.
So the hardest thing for me is because I am the contractor, so my name is on every job that we do. The hardest thing for me is having to step back and allow my employees to do their job and not pick up the tools to do it. I'm trying to focus more on working on the business rather than in the business, which has been, you know, I'm at that teetering point where I'm still involved to a point where I need to be, but still also trying to delegate as much as possible.
Are you still running the leads for the sales?
Yes.
That's the hardest part that I have given up because it's such a big.
Well, not only that, you and I have the pencils, so we can get as sharp as we need to, and we know what the bank accounts are.
Yep.
So,
so that's the last straw for me. I'm still running a bunch of the sales. I got 7 sales guys, but my, I guess criteria is if they come to my personal cell phone, someone referred directly there, I'll run that lead 9 out of 10 times. Anything that comes to the office line gets distributed.
Let's get a count going, Eric. When you edit this, let's get a count going. That's the 3rd time Trey has spoken about himself or his company. So let's just want to write that down.
When I go to insurance conferences.
Well, I mean, listen, you know, we've got
and let's also note that Felipe is the only one that doesn't do self-improvement conferences.
That's personal growth and development.
That's not true. I do a lot of personal growth.
So what do you think of self-improvement conferences, Felipe?
Well,
load of crap or what?
Listen, in my industry, it's a little different. You know, in finance, everybody's got an opinion. They're like armpits. They all stink. You know what I mean? So you need to kind of find your own. And frankly, a lot of the best research is too early. So the old saying is good research. Stick it in a drawer, pick it up in about 6 months, and maybe you can make some money off of it.
I've never
you know
heard
that old adage, right?
Never heard that.
You probably never heard any of the adages in my industry.
Two in the bush is worth one in the hand or something.
All right, so back on Zach.
Let's talk more about the golden age of trades.
We got AC heroes. You know, kind of give us your background because you served in the military, right?
I did, yeah. I did 4 years active duty Army, and that was after our valet days. Back in the valet, back running cars.
Best job ever, by the way. If you're like trying to start a business, if you're trying to make money on the side, doing whatever you're doing is not enough. You need extra cash. Valet is the way to go.
Absolutely.
Like it's a great time. Didn't you used to valet too?
I valet.
See? You know, common denominator.
Yeah.
Like, did you valet?
I was a golf caddy.
Oh, okay.
So, Felipe can't drive a manual.
So you were in the Army, but they didn't train you to be an AC guy when you got out.
No. I was hazmat in the Army. Did a lot of ammo, fuel, stuff like that. It's kind of the cool stuff that, you know, back then it was kind of needs of what they needed.
So how do you wind up in AC, I guess is what I'm getting at.
So I knew that I wanted to come back home, and I didn't want to have to worry about living paycheck to paycheck, because when we got out of high school, there was a recession. So, you know, jobs were hard to come by, $7 an hour. I mean, you were doing good at $7 an hour. And I knew that when I got out, which was 2014, that I didn't want to have to worry about that. I wanted something that was recession-proof. So, obviously, the trades. What does everybody need in Florida? Air conditioning. So it kind of just trickled down from there to pinpoint where I'm at. I knew nothing about it. Went to school. Here I am.
So you went to a trade school?
Yep. Went to Manatee Technical College.
That's awesome.
Did their 1 year thing, and then most of the stuff that I learned though was real world, because they kind of just dabble into each section, because there's 7 or 8 different branches of HVAC.
And how long has AC Heroes been going now?
We just hit our 2-year anniversary.
Okay, so year 1 it was you.
Yep.
And
what's your team look like now?
Myself and I.
Okay. So it's you, yourself, and I.
Me, myself, and I. Had a couple of guys that helped me out with installs, and then hired my first employee about 9 months in, almost a year. And then just decided to take the plunge and hire my first crew, and it's been kind of everything else is in the rear view at this point.
How many got on the payroll right now?
Right now, 2. Getting ready to add a 3rd. Actually, I'm sorry, 3. 3, getting ready to add a 4th.
You got a office
You want to tell us the
or?
one that you forgot about? Which one was it?
Myself.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you got to be on the payroll too.
Yeah. But no, it's I got a good team behind me, getting ready to hire another service tech before summertime. So it's employees. That's a whole nother.
So what I mean, you're a guy though that certainly has ambitions to have more than 2 employees, more than 3 employees, more than 4. So do you have a plan in place for the growth? Are you just kind of taking it step by step, or where's that at?
So my growth, there's a sweet spot. I don't know how it is in roofing, but there's a sweet spot. Like 10 employees is about the threshold.
It sucks in roofing, right, Trey? Nobody should get into roofing. It's
Nobody.
not good. It's horrible business.
10 is the threshold, and anything more than that, your margins diminish pretty quickly, and then you're just dumping a whole bunch of money into advertising, hoping that it pays off. I never want to get to that point where, I got to rely on, the advertising dollars that are getting spent to produce. I'd rather, hit my back wall, fall back on my customers that I've already gotten.
Yeah.
So why is 10 the number? Is it because of the amount of people it takes to do the work?
Infrastructure, vehicles, stuff
so
like
you need
that.
to start advertising because you got to keep all those people busy.
Exactly.
I know it sounds obvious, but I'm trying to break it down for our viewers.
Well, not only that, it's 10 is in a perfect world, how I see it, is I'd like to have 2 install crews that allow me to get 2 installs done per day. So that's 10 a week during the summertime. You have 2 service guys, so that's 6. You have 2 maintenance guys, that's 8. And you got an office manager and myself.
The operator.
So
10 sounds good.
So are you spending any money on advertising now? Or how are you getting, I mean, obviously word of mouth referrals is what every service, home service business is relying on. Some probably too much. I think you're doing some things that are maybe a little different. So tell us about those efforts.
I'm handling all my own social media right now. I'm doing a lot of network marketing like BNI, Chamber, both Manatee, Sarasota Chamber, CCA. We do, and then the home shows.
Yeah.
Home shows, I mean, they're the biggest pain as far as a vendor. If you've ever done one, standing on your feet for 8 hours a day, 3 days in a row. But the return back on it, you can't ignore.
Are those local or those?
Yeah, right there at Robarts Arena.
Robarts, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
You do those too, Trey?
We did some recon. I walked through there, saw some punk
Competitors.
roofers in there.
Some punk roofers.
Well, we get the out-of-towners roofers coming into those home shows, I've noticed.
Yeah, I saw one local guy and I saw 2 guys that were trying to build.
Right. Well, here's a layup question for you. But before I ask it, I got to say, did you ever think maybe Strong AC would be a good name? And if not, why did you name your company AC Heroes?
So I took a
You want
marketing
AC?
class.
Better be strong.
I took a marketing class, I want to say like my senior year of high school, one of those, electives that, you forget about. And one of the things that stuck with me is in advertising, name and recognition and branding is paramount when you're naming your business.
Yeah.
They go into more depth. And now this is back 15 so years ago. Not everybody had cell phones and Google at their hands. Everybody still had phone books. So the higher you were on the phone books, especially in the yellow pages where you go back and, you see their
AAA.
AAA roofing.
AAA
exactly.
roofing, yeah.
So I was like, okay, I wanted something that I could brand, something that was going to be easy to remember, and I wanted it at the top. So
In case the phone books ever come back.
in case the phone books ever come back.
Well, that's a great theory, but every AC company could be AC something, right?
It could be.
A little more
It could be.
competitive with the top.
But it was literally just a by chance. And I had, obviously,
worked out, yeah.
Obviously having the military background.
Military, yeah.
Red, white, and blue are the hottest colors for any company in the United States, which is crazy. But
Rightly so.
I wanted something that was mainly easy to remember, because I may not see a customer for, once every 6 months, once every 2 or 3 years, but if they remember my name, they're going to remember that conversation sitting at the dinner table. Oh, I had an AC guy here. My AC's broke, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I've got somebody.
Yeah.
But having a long, drawn-out name that's non-recognizable is going to be that much harder to stick in that person's head.
For sure.
I love the name. We
I
might
do
have
too.
to work on the logo a little bit. I want like a action
Superhero.
hero.
You want a
Yeah.
superhero.
Yeah,
I knew you wanted a superhero. He is the superhero. You
Yeah.
can put a cape on this
The
guy.
louder you get with that logo, the more
about
they'll
all that.
remember.
Listen, you fix someone's AC here in the middle of the summer, you're a hero one
Exactly.
way or another. I mean, we can't live without that.
Need a bat signal with Brad's face on it.
So on that topic though, because Trey, I give Trey a lot of crap for his marketing, but he does a great job with it and it works. And that's the point of it, right? It might be a little corny sometimes, but it works. Have you done any sort of?
I object to.
Are
corny.
you doing? He'll never go with corny, but that's for lack of a better word, right?
Yeah.
My vocabulary.
I
is
prefer
limited,
sticky marketing.
Sticky marketing. Yeah, there you go. Sticky / corny marketing. We'll go with that. But have you done any sort of marketing on your? I know you're doing your own socials. I know you, but like, are you getting yourself on camera? Are you putting the videos out there? What because Trey does a lot of it, and it's got. If you look back over time, it's gotten so much better too. Like from where he started years ago, putting himself on camera to where he's at now, and that's not really by accident, and it's probably working. I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine it's working. He's still doing it. So, Are you doing any of that?
So I haven't yet, but I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with, the customers with your size? Because you're substantially bigger than I am. How are you dealing with your size? Be like, oh, I want to talk to just Trey. Like, how do you separate yourself from that conversation?
It happens.
They watch the videos and say, I don't want to talk to Trey. That guy sounds intense and scary. So they just call the office.
It does happen. And, it also, like, people that I'm dealing with, I split up the territories. So my idea with my field reps who sell and manage jobs is that the closer they are to their territory, the more likely they are to hop in the truck and go back and deal with whatever problem or perceived problem that maybe isn't our fault, but they'll go show face and they're closer to the job sites. But as far as I'm actually fortunate because our lead sales guy looks a little bit like me. So when he pulls up, like, wait, are you Trey or no, you're not Trey?
Yeah.
But I say put your face out there for sure. I say don't make excuses not to do it. You have that little self-doubt, like, well, what if the customer gets upset one time because the guy on the camera doesn't show up? And I think that's the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
What kind of capital did you start with? I know you got a truck now. You got a van. You got a truck, a van. You've got a trailer too. I think I was riding next to one of your trucks with the trailer behind it the other day. So you got some decent for just having a couple employees and a growing business.
We've got 3 vans on the road. And we've got two trailers. One's our dedicated duct cleaning trailer because we do offer that as a service, and then the other one's our install rig. So with that, capital, I was fortunate enough to have a family member kind of taking this venture with me. And
That's awesome.
He's kind of been my backbone in terms of the finances to help me get started because things are very, very expensive. And, I have one thing, that's the knowledge, but I don't have the capital. And he brought that and, we team up and we've been pretty good so far.
Does he work in the business as well? Or? Good for him.
No, it's just
good for him.
Kind of a he's got his hands into 9 or 10 other different businesses, cool. So he's got his hands full. But he offers the guidance and stuff like that,
yeah.
And he also has 30 plus years of being in business. So a lot of those hard lessons that a lot of new business owners have to learn, I just have a conversation and I alleviate a bunch of pain and heartache.
Yeah.
So and that to me that knowledge is worth a lot of money. A lot of mistakes could be avoided.
You got the vehicles wrapped?
Yes, they're all lettered, but they're not all wrapped.
I say as soon as you feel like you can afford it, wrap them.
Yeah,
big wrap guy.
I do the 3/4 wrap. You can can cut off the front. You don't have to do the hood, and it's reasonable. But the more you wrap it, you got 3 of them wrapped and they're loud. People think you got 15, and then when you got 15, they think you own the town. So
yeah, you can't miss a strong roofing truck when it drives by. Your logo and everything on the truck, I definitely stands out. But a wrap might be. You need to get a brand. We need to get a brand deal with a company that does wraps as much as we push wraps.
I'll give you the guy.
You go to, then if you have a wrap truck, then on Wrap Off Wednesday on Sarasota Word of Mouth, right? You get any business off Sarasota Word of Mouth?
Oh man, it's a huge for us.
Yeah. You get on Wrap Off Wednesday, then you get your company's picture on there. So might be a good investment, but. Growing up, I was in the AC business, right? Like I worked summers with my family member who owns an AC company, and I was the duct guy. It was the manual labor is certainly there. But one of the things that I remember most about, the people that worked in that industry was that you really could never trust any of them, right? Like they would steal. They would. I'm telling you, like
they're your family members.
Watching. No. My family member had a really tough time with employees. Is what I'm saying. Like even the employees that were with him for 2 years, 3 years, and kind of his best employees at the time, something ended up happening where they bit him in the butt, right? So I know that you kind of have a little bit of a different perspective on employees and how you treat them. And I'm not saying that he treated them bad or anything, but I know that in the service work, in that home service industry, you got to deal with some of the most talented people maybe have some issues, right? So how are you overcoming that, and what are you looking for? You talked about the Grant Cardone thing and learning how to hire and all that stuff. So what are you looking for when you're hiring?
So I look at it completely different in terms of hiring somebody. Most people look at hiring an employee as, okay, what's the overhead going to cost me every week on payroll or every 2 weeks on payroll? I look at it the exact opposite. And one of the things that I learned was, what can that employee give me back on my return? What are they able to, produce in terms of what I'm setting the standard for production? What can they, how close can they get to me? And I learned very quickly those employees are expensive, but the payoff is worth it. So I don't even look at it from that point of view. I try to find the good ones and the aces in the hole that are still available looking for work. And I'm like, okay, where do you need to be at? Because I know that you can perform. Here's my standards, given an employee handbook. Here's my standards. It's your job to execute. It's my job to sign your paycheck.
So how do you find those people, and what do you do to land?
You got to headhunt, man. You got to headhunt. You got to know. You got to put your feelers out there and stuff like that. One of the guy, my lead guy, Mike, I've been friends with him for 7-8 years, and he just started posting pictures of his installs, and I begged him for over a year. I'm like, I need you. I want you to, just by looking at his work quality,
right?
Hadn't done anything more than just hang out with him at in his driveway, but just seeing his work quality, and hands down best decision I ever made.
Hey, listen, we're having a blast here getting to know the coolest guy we've had on the podcast thus far, Zach Lesmerises with AC Heroes. If you want to get to know a little bit more about him, check out Rapid Fire Questions.
I'm Zach Lesmerises with AC Heroes, Sarasota's premier HVAC company, and this is Rapid Fire. Twister. Invisible.
You can't see me, dog! You can't see me. Say my name.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science.
75. Picture by Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow.
I put your picture away, sat down and cried today.
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great.
Jordan, man.
You have chosen wisely.
Bezos. Craziest impulse buy. Probably my my 95 Chevy Lowrider I bought. Celery fields.
So, what you were saying basically is that you'd rather hire a more expensive, higher quality employee and pay more, and then have to train somebody or fix their bad habits or...
Absolutely. I'd rather pay somebody on the higher end and know that I'm going to get the result back. Again, you spend less time having to go back, more focus on getting the production where it needs to be.
Why don't you think everybody would do that? You would think everybody would do that. Like, why don't they? They can't get the talent. Because, the competitive landscape around here, which I also want to ask you about, is probably pretty crazy considering everybody has AC.
Right. The competition is definitely there, and again, there's so many companies out there, and you have your, obviously your turnover with employees and your turnover with customers because, one neighbor didn't like one person showing up. So, when it comes to the employees, finding them again is like finding a diamond in the rough. You don't want the ones that do have bad habits. Is everybody perfect? No, but all you can do is try to just do the best on trying to find the golden ones.
Well,
those
good
will
thing
represent you.
The good thing for you is you're only looking for like 7 or 8 more. So just keep your eyes and ears open, and you'll find those.
I have a prediction. Once you hit 10, you'll want 20.
No shit. That's what I'm thinking too. But if you've got 3 employees right now and 3 vans and 2 trailers, 10, you'd have like 15 vans.
I know. I'm going to be coming.
You got more vehicles than you got employees.
The
right
real
now.
estate business, what I need to do.
So my, my point earlier about home service workers, right? Like, or home service industry. A lot of people, they do the trade, they learn the trade, and so then they naturally go start their business in the trade, right? That doesn't mean because you can do the trade really well, because you can install really well, because you can service an air conditioner really well, doesn't mean you can run a business very well, right? I actually run into that same problem today all the time because I could sell insurance really well, but I didn't ever run a business before. I sold, right? I was a salesperson. Now I'm learning how to run a business. Do you have mentors, people that help you on the finance side? Like where are you investing yourself to become a better operator, not just a AC technician?
So first and foremost, my partner helps me a lot with that, just, based on his experience, trying to, and then also seeing how other people are learning from either industry changes or their own, faults and failures. And then we're around people's houses, so I get to see, problems that may have come up from the previous person. I'm like, okay, I need to put that in my toolbox to know that I definitely need to make sure we don't do this. So, I mean, if there's going to be a problem with somebody's roof, you're going to know in a decent amount of time. Same thing with an air conditioner. It's not going to be one of those suppressive things that it's just going to slowly ease into it.
Have you ever taken out the wrong house's air conditioning unit? Like, have you
I personally
disassembled
have never.
wrong house?
I personally have never.
I heard that happens sometimes.
However, one of my employees has. Yeah. And it was on a mobile home.
Oh, man.
Where they didn't have real street names. The mobile homes had like the mailbox letters in the windows. Mm-hmm. And
see, it happens to the best of them, Trey.
Yeah, it does.
It's more I mean, they're.
Did you take off somebody's roof?
Yeah, it's busting my balls.
Holy moly! Yeah. How do you not know that you're getting your roof?
Well, here's the thing. When I going back to these conferences, that was when I went to my first conference. I'm like, all right, I like to go in with a question I want answered at this conference.
That's the way to do it.
And that first one, that was my question. I'm like, how can I not tear off the wrong roof again? And the answer's so damn simple. You preload the roofs, right? So if the
homeowner comes home with shingles on their roof,
you get a call. Fuck? Yeah. So since then we've preloaded a couple wrong roofs.
So what do you put a sticker? You put a sticker.
No problem. We'll take them off. Well, the idea is when my crew shows up, if there's no shingles on the roof, they go, we got a problem. And I'm like, wait, no, this one's actually being delivered in the afternoon. Go ahead.
Maybe
send
just
me a
put
picture,
a sign
tear
in
it
the
off.
But I would think you could just put a sticker on the bundle that says, if we have put this on the wrong roof, please call Strong Roofing.
Well, that's great thought, Felipe, but who the hell gets up on their roof?
If I get home and have shingles on the roof, I'm just leaving them there. Like,
so.
Cool.
Somebody better install these.
So other things that help with that specific problems and many others, software, industry specific software. What do you use for your CRM? Do you have any other software you use?
Yeah, so I use House Call Pro.
Okay.
There's really only 2 front runners in our industry. It's House Call Pro and Service Titan. Service Titan's built more for the larger scale companies. House Call Pro is perfect for businesses my size.
Let me ask you, is it less expensive, House Call Pro?
Yes.
And the counter-intuitive side of it is you might want to consider stepping up to the other software if you plan to grow. because one of the biggest pain in the ass is going to be
switching.
if you outgrow that CRM and you have to switch over,
The good thing is they have a platform, I think, all the way up until like 250 employees.
Okay.
So hopefully we're good.
Hopefully you have to switch over.
Hopefully you're not good.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
hopefully you have
Hopefully
to
you're
switch
not
over.
good.
Hopefully I'll be on to the next venture.
Yeah.
Well, and let's talk about that. Like, what would the next step be when you hit that max capacity of 10, technicians? Because, and I'll just be honest with you, that isn't going to motivate you enough every single day, right? Like, in my opinion, I don't think Zach's waking up every day to say, hey, I want to grow this to 10, employees. When I get there, then I'll figure it out. Like, you've got to have a plan beyond that.
So my plan beyond that, as of right now, and again, it's always changing. I want to build this thing up to where it's pretty much self-sufficient, and I'd like to branch out and maybe franchise it.
Okay.
Maybe franchise it into other parts of Florida, because the licensure is good for the entire state. I'm only hitting 3% of the market. So if I can franchise it and be able to, put the right people in place to run those franchises, that'd be the ideal scenario.
You may not even have to franchise it, just opening up other locations. We had a pest control guest on.
All You Need Pest Control. Shout out Sean. He was awesome. But they've taken that company from, what did he say? It was 12 employees or something. I'm going to be way off. They're
on the
projecting
numbers.
20 million this year, and they're like 6 years in.
Yeah, and they just absolutely
maybe
blew
longer.
that thing up. And what they did, one of the things that they did to achieve that was really, build people up from within and then deploy them to different locations to kind of start that location, or test door knock. Do you guys do any door knocking? Do you guys doing any, like, what are you doing outside of, I guess we talked a little bit about the marketing, but
talk to me more about your marketing efforts and
the sales
what you
side.
Considered. And do you, how about like Home Advisor and things like that? What is aggregated leads?
Didn't do any Home Advisor. Did Angie's for a little bit.
Same animal.
It was rough. Mainly what I'm doing is a lot of these neighborhoods have Facebook groups. So when I get into a new neighborhood, I'm like, hey, can you do us a favor and just put us a shout out, take a picture of our truck, put it on your Facebook group? Because, a lot like next door, you can't get into these neighborhoods unless you live there. Mm-hmm. So just doing that, I've gotten, multiple different types of jobs. I probably just gave away my, to my competition what to do now.
We'll cut that part out. Don't worry.
But basically just the neighbors.
Don't worry though. They won't be brave enough to ask. Yeah. Most people won't be brave enough to ask. That's why people don't get referrals, because they don't ask, right? Like, simple.
But my CRM, every time I finalize a job, sends a review out to Google and Facebook. It sends them a text.
Now let me ask you this. Does it automatically send? And what if you feel like the customer didn't have the best experience possible to your standards?
One thing is obviously you can't make everybody happy. I try to get ahead of that. Most of the time, if it's not me, I can gauge, whether or not it's going to be a good experience or not. But if one of my guys know to warn me, to say, hey, look, this customer's not happy, because they know my standards. So I try to get ahead of that and be like, hey, we fell short. What can we do to make this right? What can we do to earn that 5-star review? I actually had one probably 2 months ago where I gave a customer, the guy gave him an estimate, or the number. It was a Sunday night call. And he says, okay, no problem, get it fixed. Well, he paid it and then had, remorse 2 days later and said, I don't understand why we paid you this much money when you were here a half hour. And then I explained to him, I was like, look, I'm going to guarantee my work for X amount of months, days, whatever. We did this, and this. And we were also out there on a Sunday night. I had to pay a technician, and it was a 3 hours, hour up, hour back, and an hour on site. Yeah. I said, if you go by my hourly rate, this is what it is.
And now 20 more minutes talking to you on the phone about it.
Exactly. But see, after I had that conversation, I got that review from a 4-star to a 5-star. Just by having the conversation. A lot of times, your guys aren't going to have those conversations. It's not their job. It's my job.
You have any non-5 stars?
No.
Doesn't that drive you nuts when you get them though? That's why you don't.
That's why I can't sleep.
I got a couple that I'm like, hey, you called that one like 3 months ago. Call them again, see if they can bump it up to 5 yet. Can't get them on the phone sometimes, but only got a handful.
But that's interesting. I think one thing a lot of operators don't understand is sometimes it's not the performance that gets you the review. It's the communication. You know, you can do a less than great job, but if you communicate very well, they still appreciate it. You know, everybody knows that people aren't perfect, right?
Absolutely.
You know, everyone you hire isn't going to be perfect.
And not every situation is going to be perfect either. I mean, a lot of times it could be something completely out of your control, like, you know, manufacturing, not being able to get the right parts, stuff like that. That's not my fault, you know, but again, you're the one that's having to deal with it.
So off of the business side of AC Heroes, and maybe talking to consumers as consumers of air conditioning, right? We're coming into summer. Good advice for consumers that are, you know, trying to make it through summer with an AC system that maybe is on the fritz.
Clean your drains. Keep your filters clean. AC is about keeping everything clean.
I was teeing that up for you to service it. Don't clean your filters. Have them do it.
Hey,
it's too much work. Just call AC Heroes.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, preventative maintenance is the best thing. Preventative maintenance is
so what's a maintenance plan look like on a residential home? Like a, you know, standard 5-ton, you know, whatever.
In terms of cost or in terms of the actual service that you get?
Is it a monthly thing?
I've got two different plans. I either pay by the month,
okay,
or you pay by the year. I give people a discount if you pay in full for the year. It'll either get you 1 visit or 2 visits a year. That includes all your drain maintenance, all that stuff. You know, from your indoor inspection, testing out the electrical components on both the indoor, outdoor, checking the refrigerant, and then it'll also give you discounts in the need of repair. You know, that's a big thing because it's not a matter of if the AC is going to break; it's just when.
Right.
So giving that value to the customer and telling them, like, look, you know, this is a mechanical machine. Just like a car, it's going to need tires, it's going to need brakes, it's going to need this. You need to make sure that you're covered in terms of, you know, when you need us. And also I give people, you know, people that are on my, you know, plans, I give them priority service.
Right.
So not that they're a priority over another customer, but if I'm,
yeah,
you know,
it is.
If I'm all the way, you know, in Sarasota, you know, and you call me at 7:30 at night and you're in Parrish, I'm going to drop everything I'm doing to go over there and take care of it. You know, so
funny side note here. This morning I was on a kind of a mastermind mentorship group, and they were talking about one of the guys has a company that, or works for a company that has developed an AI technology that can predict when pumps fail, when it predict to up to a certain, you know, expectation when pumps fail, when, you know, pulleys go out, with like anything mechanical, any kind of like motor. I don't know about cars or anything like that, but he was talking about AC systems, well pumps, you know, those types of things that home service companies deal with, can predict like a time frame that it's going to break. Wouldn't that be some shit?
That's some shit.
That would be crazy,
right? Thought so. Well, listen, I think this is a good time to segue into Trey's favorite segment here. So
my favorite segment,
buddy,
and Tominator Law's favorite segment. Tominator Law wants to know, what are your thoughts on roundabouts? Do you love them? Do you hate them?
As many miles as I drive, I love the fact that the roads that have them, the flow of traffic stays. I just wish people knew how to use them. So I hate them in that regard. So I'm going to say 50-50. Like, for the traffic flow, hate the fact that there's no education there for some of those drivers.
Well, another question we like to ask all of our guests on this one right here, actually, funny thing, there's almost an accident. Or no, this might not be the one, but on one of the B-roll clips we have of roundabouts, there's literally almost an accident like that happens live. Don't get distracted though, right?
This is pretty distracting.
It's tough not to watch the roundabout.
My ADHD's going off.
I texted these guys over the weekend. They didn't text me back, so it must not have been a good idea. But I said we should get some surveillance cameras around of roundabouts, like one of the guys we know has. And just have tons
that
of
one
B-roll.
doesn't have an obstacle.
That's not even round.
Look at that.
That's kind of it's a little odd shape, right?
So,
anyways,
we love to joke. We love to joke about the roundabouts, but one of the reasons we ask about roundabouts, we're not just asking about traffic. We're asking about growth. We're asking about change. We're asking about how Sarasota today looks way different than it did 10 years ago. Can you talk about maybe some changes in your business and even just in your life as you've seen Sarasota kind of evolve into? And when I say Sarasota, I mean the whole area, not just Sarasota County or city. You know, how has your business changed with Sarasota changing?
Well, obviously the influx of people has made us, more exposure to every other person that's out there, much like, getting wraps and stuff on vehicles. It hasn't really changed for me because I'm still very new in the business, but, it's only going to benefit for years to come as long as people stay. Yeah, as long as people stay, it's only going to benefit us because everybody's going to have an air conditioner. But in terms of the competition and stuff, it's benefiting them just the same. The problem is that the people in the trades are going to diminish over time, and it's going to drive all of our prices up.
We talk about that a lot because of just the demographics in this country, so that's
nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big problem, and there's not as many people going into the trades, like you said. I mean, you made a smart decision when you did, and frankly, I think a lot of your generation was informed by what happened in 08 and 07 here because they saw how bad it could get, right? Before that, we had kind of a long period of growth and prosperity.
What was always told to us, go to college. You're not going to be anything unless you go to college. Nobody said anything about trade schools. Had I known, I would have been like, cool, maybe I can find something. I would have done this 5 years ago. I wouldn't have been behind the 8 ball, waiting until I was 25 to get into this. So
I just did trade shows to get out of, or trade schools to get out of high school early, did the OJT, went to SCTI. But other than that, you're right. Nobody was talking about trade schools. Another question we like to ask our guests, and we'll kind of close with this, I'll pass it back to Felipe because he does the best with this. So go ahead, buddy.
I don't know about all that, but I do enjoy it. That's for sure. One of the things that we do on this podcast, we like to ask our guests if there are people that they recommend for this show and this format, people who would enjoy what we do, and also somebody who the town needs to hear from. Because at the end of the day, we're not on here for our health. We want to help people tell great stories, people who are doing amazing things here.
Yeah, so Jordan Richards with Failsafe Water Systems.
A water guy, huh?
He's very young, very ambitious. Basically, he's almost like my little brother, so to speak. We fight like brothers, and we bounce a lot of ideas off of each other and stuff like that. He's the one that actually got me dialed in with the personal development stuff. But he's far ahead of his time and far ahead of his age.
Water systems, I'm imagining that's like, filtration systems and things like that.
Yeah, they have that, and then he actually started out basically changing out well pumps and stuff.
I got you.
And then, but yeah, they're doing a lot of the door-to-door stuff, and with the water filtration stuff like that.
Would you say
our water
he's
quality's terrible here?
Would you say he's like probably the best in town, or what?
Absolutely.
Then we definitely got to have him on, right?
Absolutely,
for
hands
sure.
down.
Well, I think there's also a lot of value in having people like you who are, you're newer in the business, but you're also established, because people need to see what's possible. I think too many times we look at really successful people and we say, oh, well, that's because they had this, this, and this, and, they're so far out of reach. But when people get to hear stories like yours, they can see, wait a minute, I could do this too. I could go to the trade school. I could, apprentice with somebody, and then I can, if I have some business acumen, start my own shop and really build what I want to build.
Absolutely.
And do it right here in Sarasota.
Absolutely.
All right, Jordan Richards, you got anyone else for us before we wrap up?
I got another question.
Oh.
What other softwares do you use? Do you have to take a lot of pictures in your trade? Is that like a thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You ever heard of Company Cam?
No.
Free tidbit, $18 a month per user. By my estimation, 2 to 3 users, $60 a month. And it all geo-tracks. You have the pictures forever.
Nice.
So if you go for an estimate, you take the pictures, put it in your estimate, and then when the technician's there, he takes pictures of each step, give them back to the homeowner. So
I like that.
Is there a lot of tax or additional fees on that? Because 18 times 3 is not quite 60, I don't think.
Round it up.
Okay. For under $60, you too could have it. But it is pretty cool. You showed me that before.
Do you have any financial interest in that company?
No, I'm just trying to help.
All right.
I got a few other ideas for you too. I'll text you over.
Just making sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, bro. Normally we would fist bump at the old studio, but I don't know what we'll have to figure it. Maybe like do one of these, put them in. But it was awesome to have you, man, and we're excited to see you grow.
Cool, appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.